My name is Margaret Hayes. I'm 70 years old, and last year my own daughter tried to have me declared legally incompetent so she could steal my house. I always thought those kinds of horror stories happened to other people. You see them on the news. Elderly woman loses everything after signing papers she didn't understand. You feel bad for them, you say a little prayer, and you move on with your day. I never imagined I'd become that headline. How it all started: my husband, Frank, died 3 years ago. One moment he was in his recliner, snoring through a baseball game, and the next moment I was on the phone with 911, pressing my trembling hands on his chest, begging him to breathe. He didn't. We'd been married 46 years. When they took his body away, it felt like they were hauling my entire life out on a stretcher. Our house, our little 3-bedroom ranch on Oakwood Drive, suddenly seemed enormous and empty. Every room echoed with memories: birthdays, Christmas mornings, the hollow sound of my own footsteps when I couldn't sleep at night. My daughter, Lisa, swooped in immediately. "Mom, you can't stay here alone," she said, rubbing my back while I cried at the kitchen table. "It's not safe. The stairs, the yard, everything. You'll fall. Let us help you." Her husband, Mark, nodded, all sympathetic frowns and gentle tones. "We've been thinking," he said. "We can build an in-law suite onto our house. You'll have your own space, your own entrance, but you'll never be alone. The kids will love having you close." Their kids, Josh and Lily, were my whole world. Josh was 16 then, tall and quiet like his grandfather. Lily was 13, all braces and messy ponytails, always drawing in some sketchbook. The idea of living near them sounded like salvation. "We'll sell this place," Lisa said, looking around my kitchen. "The market's good right now. You can use that money for the addition on our house, and we'll take care of everything else. You'll never have to worry about bills again." It sounded reasonable. Smart, even. I was still in shock from losing Frank. I wasn't thinking like a businesswoman. I was thinking like a grieving wife and a tired old lady who just wanted to be with her family. So I trusted my daughter. I sold my house. After realtor fees and taxes, I walked away with just under $380,000. Every cent went into our plan. Mark handled the contractor. The in-law suite went up fast. New construction attached to their suburban 2-story, a bedroom, a small sitting room, a kitchenette, a big accessible bathroom with grab bars. "For when you're older," Lisa said with a smile. They also refinanced their home to make everything simple. The documents they had me sign were thick and full of language I didn't follow, but Lisa sat beside me at the title office, her hand on mine. "It's just combining everything, Mom," she said. "Your money pays off our mortgage and builds your suit. In exchange, you always have a roof over your head. We're family. You trust me, right?" And of course I did. The slow shift the first year living with them was okay. Different, but okay. I watched Josh's football practices, drove Lily to art club, baked too many cookies. My suite was cozy, and I told everyone who asked that I was lucky to be with family. But little by little, tiny cracks appeared. It started with my mail. One afternoon I stepped outside to check the mailbox and found it empty. I shrugged and went back inside, only to see a pile of envelopes on the kitchen counter. "Oh, I've been grabbing your mail with ours," Lisa said lightly. "It's just easier. I'll bring you anything important." Then it was my car keys. "You really shouldn't be driving, Mom," she told me after I bumped the curb backing out of the driveway. "Just let us handle getting you places. It's safer." A week later, I couldn't find my keys anywhere. "I put them somewhere safe," Lisa said. "You worry too much." My checkbook disappeared after that. Then Lisa helped me switch everything to online banking. "Look, you just click here," she said, flying through screens so fast I couldn't follow. "And I'll be on the accounts too, just in case something happens." It's what responsible families do. I was uncomfortable, but every objection died on my tongue when she reminded me. "You live here for free, Mom. We're taking care of you. Let us do that." Besides, when the grandkids were around, things felt normal. Josh would wander into my suite with his homework. Lily would sprawl on my couch with her sketchbook, and for an hour or two, I could pretend everything was the way it should be. The red flags I ignored. The first big red flag came about a year after I moved in. I was sorting laundry in my room when I heard raised voices through the thin wall between my suite and the main house. "I'm telling you, the credit cards are maxed again." Mark snapped. "Just ask Mom for more," Lisa said. "She's sitting on plenty. She doesn't go anywhere, she doesn't buy anything." "She doesn't have plenty?" Mark shot back. "We used most of it already. Remodeling, paying off the car, catching up on bills. There's not much left." My heart thudded. "You said what?" I froze, listening. "Then we need to sell the house," Mark said. "We can downsize, take the equity, start over. The market's not going to stay this good." "We can't sell while she's here," Lisa hissed. "Not yet. We have to do this right." My fingers shook as I folded a towel that was already perfectly folded. I told myself I'd misunderstood. They wouldn't do that. They loved me, so I pushed that fear down so deep it almost disappeared. Almost. The plan I wasn't supposed to hear. It all came crashing down one rainy Thursday afternoon. Lisa thought I was at my weekly church group. I had been, but my arthritis was acting up, and I came home early. The rain turned the driveway into a slick gray river. I slipped quietly through my side door, hung my coat, and heard voices in the kitchen. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, I stopped. "The appointment is next Tuesday," Mark was saying. "The lawyer said once a doctor signs off, we can file the petition." "I still don't like this," Lisa muttered. "You said yourself she's getting forgetful," Mark pushed. "She asked you the same thing 3 times yesterday." "She's 70, not 90. Lisa sighed. "She gets confused sometimes, but nothing." Mark cut in. "As long as she's legally competent, she controls everything. The house, the suite, the accounts. The minute a doctor says she has early dementia, we can petition for guardianship and conservatorship. Then we control the money and the property. No more asking permission. No more, 'Mom, can we use the equity for?' We just do it." My knees went weak. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. "I don't want to drug my own mother," Lisa whispered. "It's not drugging," Mark said coldly. "It's one extra pill. You said she takes that pain medication at night. We give her one in the afternoon before the evaluation. She'll be sleepy, confused, not able to answer questions clearly. The doctor will write what we need. You want to fix this mess or not?" My hand flew to my mouth. My daughter. My baby girl, who used to crawl into my bed after nightmares, was talking about making me look insane so she could take everything I had left. I stepped back into my suite, quietly closed the door, and locked it for the first time since I'd moved in. Then I sat on my bed and shook. I wanted to storm into that kitchen and scream, "How dare you!" I wanted to pack my bags and walk out into the rain. But where would I go? I had no house, no car, no savings I could access without Lisa. I had put everything in her hands. For the first time in my life, I felt like prey. A neighbor named Carol, and a lawyer named Wasi. I must have sat there for an hour, staring at the wall, before I remembered something. My next-door neighbor, Carol. She was a widow like me, the kind of woman who knew everybody's business and brought casseroles at the drop of a hat. A week earlier, I'd watched her son help her carry in groceries. Lisa had said, "That's her son, he's a lawyer," in a half-dismissive tone. A lawyer. I waited until Lisa left the house to pick up Lily from dance and Mark disappeared into his home office. Then I grabbed my cane, slipped out through the back gate, and shuffled next door in the drizzle. Carol opened the door, surprise turning to concern when she saw my face. "Margaret, honey, what's wrong?" I sat at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea, and told her everything. The missing mail, the bank accounts, the overheard argument, the plan to drug me, the doctor's evaluation. By the time I was done, Carol's lips were a tight line. "Let me call my son," she said. "He does elder law. He's dealt with this before." 20 minutes later, a tall man in his 30s walked in. Dark hair, neat beard, tired eyes behind glasses. He stuck out his hand. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Wasi Ahmed," he said. "Mom filled me in on the basics. I'm sorry you're going through this." But you did the right thing coming here. I don't know what I expected. Maybe pity or disbelief. But what I got was calm, professional certainty. It steadied me. I told him everything again, this time slower, focusing on details. He listened without interrupting, only occasionally jotting a note. When I finished, he sat back. Okay, he said quietly. What your daughter and son-in-law are planning is serious. If they try to get guardianship under false pretenses, and they've misused your funds, that's potential financial exploitation and fraud. My stomach twisted. What can I do? I don't have documents. Just what I heard. That's more than enough to start, he said. First, I want you to get your own medical evaluation from an independent doctor before this appointment they set up. Someone I choose, not them, will document that you're mentally competent. And if they drug me before the other one? I asked, my voice shaking. Then we'll have conflicting evaluations, Wasi said. One showing you clear-minded, one showing impairment, taken after they've likely given you something. That raises red flags for any judge. He leaned forward. Second, and this is important from now on, document everything. Dates, times, conversations. If it's legal in this state. And it is. You can also record conversations in your own home, as long as you're part of them. Do you have a smartphone? I did. Josh had insisted on buying me one last Christmas. Good. Wasi said. I'll show you how to record. Don't confront them, don't accuse them. Act like you don't know anything. But if they mention the plan again, or talk about your money, record it. I felt both terrified and oddly empowered. For the first time since Frank died, I wasn't just drifting along while people made decisions around me. I had a plan. Before I left, Wasi squeezed my hand. You're not alone in this, Mrs. Hayes, he said. We're going to protect you. Playing the weak old lady and gathering proof. The next week was the longest of my life. Wasi got me an appointment with a geriatric specialist across town. Carol drove me. I spent an hour answering questions, doing memory tests, drawing little clocks on a piece of paper. At the end, the doctor smiled. You're doing just fine for 70, Mrs. Hayes, he said. No signs of dementia or cognitive impairment. I'll send a full report to your lawyer. I didn't tell Lisa where I'd been that day. When she asked why I was late for dinner, I just said, Carol and I went shopping. Meanwhile, I followed Wasi's instructions. I started keeping a notebook in my bedside drawer, writing down dates, times, and snippets of conversations. And I learned how to record on my phone. The first time I used it, my hands were shaking so badly I thought for sure Lisa would notice. She came into my suite one evening with a cup of tea. Mom, we have your doctor's appointment next Tuesday, she said. It's just a standard evaluation, okay? Nothing to worry about. I tapped the little red button on my phone screen under the table. Evaluation for what? I asked, playing dumb. Oh, she said, too brightly. Just making sure you're medically okay. For paperwork, it'll make it easier for us to help you with things. With money things, I said softly. She paused, her eyes flicking to mine. Well, yes, she admitted. The lawyer we talked to said it's easier if we have legal authority. Guardianship, conservatorship, all that. We'd never do anything to hurt you, Mom. My voice wobbled. Are you saying I can't make my own decisions anymore? She put on her best hurt expression. Of course not, you're just getting older. We're planning ahead. Please don't make this hard. I swallowed bile. Okay, honey? I said. Whatever you think is best. She hugged me, and I patted her back, my phone recording every word. The second recording came 2 days later, when Mark cornered me in the kitchen. Here's your night medicine, he said, dropping 2 pills into my palm instead of 1. I thought I only took 1 of these. I said, heart pounding. Doctor adjusted the dose. He lied smoothly, said it would help you sleep. Take them now, okay? I pretended to swallow both but palmed 1, later tucking it into an envelope for Wasi. My phone, hidden in my sweater pocket, caught everything. The third recording was the jackpot. Lisa and Mark were in the living room, arguing again. I stood in the doorway, phone in hand. I don't care if she gets mad later, Mark said. Once the judge signs off, it doesn't matter. She can scream all she wants, we'll control the house and the accounts. Mark, she's my mother. Lisa snapped. I feel sick about this. You liked that new SUV, didn't you? He shot back. You like this house? You like not worrying about bills? This is how we keep it. She's not spending her own money anyway. What difference does it make? Stop, Lisa whispered. Just please, stop. I backed away, my hands shaking, my phone still recording. That night, I slept with my cane leaning against my bed and my phone under my pillow. The day in court, the doctor's appointment, came and went. As Wasi predicted, they gave me extra medication beforehand. I played my part perfectly, moving slower, asking the doctor to repeat questions, pretending not to understand why I was there. A week later, a uniformed man came to the house and handed me a thick envelope. Mom, you've been served, he said. Inside was a petition. Lisa Carter and Mark Carter request guardianship and conservatorship over Margaret Hayes, citing declining mental function and inability to manage finances. Attached was a report from the doctor they'd taken me to. It said I showed significant confusion and possible early dementia. I looked up from the papers and saw Lisa watching me from the hallway, her face pale. This is just to make things official, Mom, she said weakly. So we can help you. I didn't answer. The court date was set for 6 weeks later. During that time, Wasi worked tirelessly. He filed our own response, attaching my clean evaluation from the independent doctor, copies of my notes, and transcripts of the recordings. He subpoenaed bank records, mortgage documents, and the contractor's bills. He also had me sign a new power of attorney, one that appointed him as my legal representative for financial matters until the case was over. I don't like doing this in a rush, he said, but we need some way to protect you from them draining what's left. On the morning of the hearing, Carol drove me downtown. My hands were ice cold despite the summer heat. Inside the courtroom, Lisa and Mark sat at one table with their attorney, a slick man in a $1,000 suit. I sat at the other with Wasi. Lisa wouldn't meet my eyes. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense bun, called us to order. Ms. Carter, she said, looking at Lisa, you're petitioning for full guardianship and conservatorship over your mother. That's a serious step. Tell me why you believe this is necessary. Lisa's voice trembled. Your Honor, my mother she's forgetful. She loses things. She repeats herself. She signed away her house and gave us money she didn't understand. We just want to protect her. Their lawyer chimed in with polished concern. Mrs. Hayes is a vulnerable senior, he said. My clients are simply trying to make sure she doesn't fall victim to scams or mismanagement. When it was our turn, Wasi stood. Your Honor, with respect, that is not the full story, he said calmly. We intend to show that Mrs. Hayes is mentally competent and that her daughter and son-in-law have already misused her funds. They are attempting to obtain guardianship not to protect her, but to gain total control over her remaining assets. He called me to the stand. My legs shook as I walked, but I held my head high. I swore to tell the truth and sat down. Mrs. Hayes, Wasi said gently, can you tell the court about selling your house? I explained how Frank had died, how Lisa and Mark had convinced me to sell, how all the money had gone into their house and mortgage. Did you understand at the time that your name would not be on the new deed? He asked. I hesitated. No, I admitted. I thought it was still my house too. I didn't realize until later that legally, I own nothing. He nodded. Do you manage your own day-to-day needs? Yes, I said. I cook. I clean my suit. I manage my medication. I use my phone, send emails, pay some small bills when I'm allowed access. I'm not perfect, but I know what day it is. I know who's president. I know how to use a microwave. I added, hearing a small chuckle from the gallery. He smiled slightly. Mrs. Hayes, do you recall overhearing a conversation about a plan to have you declared incompetent? Lisa's attorney leapt up. Objection. Hearsay. Wasi was ready. Your Honor, this goes to the core of intent. And we have recordings. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proceed. But carefully, Mr. Ahmed, Mrs. Hayes. Weissy said. After that conversation, did you begin documenting interactions with your daughter and son-in-law? Yes, I said, and I recorded some of them on my phone. He walked to the evidence table and picked up a small speaker. With the court's permission, he said, I'd like to play 3 short audio clips. The judge nodded. The first recording played Lisa's bright voice talking about guardianship, conservatorship, and making it easier to control things. You could hear my shaky voice asking if that meant I couldn't make decisions anymore. The second recording was Mark pushing the extra pill into my hand, insisting the doctor adjusted the dose. The third, God help me, was Mark saying, once the judge signs off, it doesn't matter. She can scream all she wants, we'll control the house and the accounts. The courtroom went dead silent. Lisa's face crumpled. Mark went beet red. Their lawyer objected again, but the judge waved him down. Overruled, she said sharply. I've heard enough to admit these. Awasi then presented the 2 conflicting medical evaluations, one from the doctor I'd seen with Lisa and Mark, showing confusion, and the other from the independent specialist, showing no cognitive impairment. He pointed out the timing of the extra medication and the appointment. Finally, he brought out the bank statements and mortgage documents. Your Honor, he said, in less than 18 months, over 300,000 of Mrs. Hayes's funds were transferred into accounts controlled by Lisa and Mark. Large purchases were made, vehicles, vacations, home improvements, that do not appear to benefit Mrs. Hayes directly, all while they've been steadily stripping her of independence, taking her mail, her car keys, her checkbook. He paused. This is not protection. This is exploitation. When he sat down, I realized my hands were clenched so tight my knuckles were white. The judge turned to Lisa. Ms. Carter, do you have anything you'd like to say? Lisa's eyes finally met mine. For a second, I saw my little girl in there, the one who used to hold my hand crossing the street. Then she looked back at the judge. I never meant to hurt her, she whispered. We were drowning in debt. It felt like the only way. Mark said. Enough, the judge said firmly. She took off her glasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. I see far too many cases of genuine elder neglect and incapacity in this courtroom, she said. But I also see this, adult children using guardianship as a weapon to seize control from parents who are inconveniently still capable. She looked at me. Mrs. Hayes, based on the evidence, I find you mentally competent. The petition for guardianship and conservatorship is denied. My breath whooshed out. She turned to Lisa and Mark. Furthermore, I am ordering an independent accounting of all funds transferred from Mrs. Hayes's accounts to yours over the past 3 years. If any misuse is found, this court will refer the matter to the district attorney for possible prosecution. Until that accounting is complete, you are forbidden from selling or refinancing your home or withdrawing any large sums from your accounts. Lisa burst into tears. Mark swore under his breath. The judge's voice softened when she addressed me again. Mrs. Hayes, I strongly recommend you obtain new housing arrangements, separate from your daughter for your own peace of mind. You clearly have people in your life who are willing to help you. Use them. I looked at Wasi and Carol sitting behind him, and my eyes flooded. Yes, Your Honor, I said. I will. 2 years later. It's been 2 years since that day in court. The accounting revealed what we already suspected. Lisa and Mark had burned through most of my house money, vacations, a new SUV, private school tuition, shopping sprees. The prosecutor ultimately offered them a deal: repay as much as possible, attend financial responsibility and elder abuse education, and stay away from my finances, or face charges. They took the deal. With Wasi's help, I used what remained, plus a small settlement from forcing them to sell that shiny SUV, to move into a sunny little apartment in a senior community across town. The building has an elevator, a view of a park, and a common room where we play cards and argue about the TV volume. I have my own mailbox again, my own keys, my own bank account. I also have a new will and a trust set up in case anything happens to me. This time, I read every word. Twice. With Wasi sitting beside me explaining the parts I didn't understand. I did something I never thought I'd do. I left nothing to Lisa or Mark. Instead, I set up a small education fund for Josh and Lily to be managed by a neutral trustee until they're adults. They've both apologized to me more than once, even though none of this was their fault. They chose to keep a relationship with me, even when it meant going against their parents. They come over every Sunday now. We order pizza or cook something simple, and they sprawl on my thrift store couch like they used to sprawl in my in-law suite. One evening, Josh leaned over, elbows on his knees, and said quietly, "Grandma, I heard some of the stuff they were saying back then. I'm glad you got out. I'm sorry I didn't do more." I put my hand over his. "You were a kid," I said. "It wasn't your job to protect me. But I'm grateful you're here now." Lily, sitting cross-legged on the floor, looked up. "I want to be a lawyer," she announced. "Like Mr. Ahmed. I want to help people like you someday." I laughed, tears in my eyes. "You'd be a good one," I said. "Just promise me you'll never forget what this feels like. Being powerless. That's what you'll be fighting against." She nodded solemnly. Every once in a while, Lisa texts me, usually on my birthday or on the anniversary of Frank's death. The messages are short, "Thinking of you," or "Hope you're okay." I type replies like, "I'm well, thank you," and leave it at that. Forgiveness is complicated. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust her again. But I pray for her. For both of them. Greed and fear make people do ugly things. When I sit on my little balcony now, watching the sun dip behind the trees, I think about the night I stood in my own kitchen listening to my child plan to take away my freedom. And I think about the day I stood in court and took it back. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Love doesn't mean surrendering your rights. Family doesn't mean handing someone your life and hoping they don't drop it. And getting older does not mean you're useless, or stupid, or ready to be parked in a corner while other people spend what you worked for. I lost my husband. I almost lost my independence. But I didn't lose myself. I'm still here. I'm still thinking clearly. And as long as I have breath in my lungs and a voice in my throat, no one, not even my own daughter, is going to decide my fate for me again.